Hello, the Divine Code reading for February 4th, pages 483 and 484. We are in the chapter Categories of Sexual Partners and Sexual Acts that are Forbidden. Topic number 16. If a man had relations with a sleeping woman, or a woman had relations with a man who had an erection during his sleep, the one who is awake is liable for a capital sin, and the one who is asleep is exempt. Rambam, The Laws of Forbidden Sexual Relations, 1:18. So again, just as a person who is unaware because the room is dark and they think they're with a permitted partner, but they turn out that they're with a forbidden partner. Similarly, a person that is unaware because they're asleep cannot be held liable for what happens to the person when they're asleep. That's not, they're not responsible, but the person that's awake would be responsible for what happens. Regarding one who is intoxicated, see part 1, topic 4, chapter 4, topic 5, that one who has not reached the degree of intoxication of Lot. That's discussed in Genesis chapter 19, verses 33 to 35. Who was unaware of his daughter's relations with him during any part of the act is still liable for his or her actions. So the person is held responsible for what happens when they're drunk. The argument that he was drunk and therefore he's not responsible, there is a level of responsibility similar to in the case of murder, where a person has gross negligence. It's considered almost as if, close enough to as if he had done something on purpose through gross negligence. A person who gets himself into that level of intoxication, and in our society, the laws are set up that a person has a level of responsibility for his actions. So if a person gets very drunk and he goes wild and if he killed somebody or injured somebody or caused damage or had relations with somebody, he would be considered responsible for his actions, even if he's in a state of mind. But he got himself into the state of mind, then he is held responsible because he put himself into that state of mind. Topic number 17. If forbidden intercourse takes place when a man's organ is not erect, his organ is completely limp, such as might be the case when a man is very ill, or if he is impotent, either permanently or only temporarily, then even if it is inserted into a woman's orifice by hand, the forbidden partners did not become liable for capital sin, through this forbidden act, as long as there is no erection. So the erection is a required element for it to be considered in the category of a forbidden act. Rambam, The Laws of Forbidden Relations, chapter 1, topic 11. So it would still be prohibited. It's not permitted to do that, but it would not be on the level of a capital liability in a court of law. A man who has relations with a corpse of a forbidden partner, whether female or animal or another male, does not become liable for the capital sin of forbidden relations. And that's also the Rambam, The Laws of Forbidden Sexual Relations, chapter 1, topic 12. Nevertheless, it is forbidden to commit this act with a corpse. It's definitely prohibited. It's just wrong. But it would not be considered it's not part of the capital punishment category within these laws. It would still be prohibited, and society should make very strong laws concerning it. And society can even make a capital law concerning something like that, and probably should. But that's up to the society to determine what's best for the functioning of their society. But in the Torah law, that would not be under this category. It certainly violates the sin of spilling semen as discussed in chapter 5 below. And chapter 5 will be in about 3 weeks from now in the reading. It is in the category of the abominations that are discussed in topic 1, chapter 1, topic 15 above. So it's definitely in the area forbidden, and it would definitely be in the category of things that are considered abhorrent in the eyes of God. Topic number 18. Artificial insemination is the medical insertion of a man's sperm into a woman's womb. It is a subject of discussion within Torah law as to whether it is permitted for the sperm of a man who would be forbidden to have actual relations with a woman, either due to their blood relationship or on account of adultery, if she is married to another man. So if a woman is married to another man, and for whatever reason they're unable to have children, and from a sperm bank she receives sperm from a different man. So technically, if the sperm donor and her were together, that would be a capital sin, because it would be the laws of adultery. Or if it's in the case of blood relations, that whatever the case is, we assume in most cases that would be a forbidden partner to a woman that is receiving sperm from a sperm bank. The question is whether or not she's allowed to use that sperm, or if it would be forbidden for her to use it. The later responsa, and there's a lot of rabbinic discussion, because this is a new area of it's a new area of medical halakha that needs to be discussed, and there's a lot of rabbis have written concerning that. Igrit Moshe Even Ha'ezer, Volume 1, Chapter 10 and 71. Minhag Yitzchak, Volume 4, Chapter 5, and Minhag Shlomo, Volume 3, Chapter 78, deal with this for Jewish men and women in regard to what might produce the birth of a mamzer, that is, a Jewish child born from relations between specific categories of forbidden partners. So if within the Jewish law, the child is produced by a relationship between people, that would be a capital crime for them to be together. So if it's a capital crime, not just any forbidden relationship within the Jewish law, certain relationships are a capital crime, other relationships are still forbidden, but they're not capital crime. If it's a relationship that is a capital crime in the Jewish law, then the offspring would be considered a mamzer. That creates all sorts of difficulties for the sake of who they can marry when they grow up. Therefore, it's a question whether if this occurs, would this be in the category of a forbidden relationship? If the woman, a Jewish woman, received sperm donation from a man that she would be prohibited by capital law, would that create a child that'd be a mamzer? And then this question would apply to whether or not artificial insemination would be permitted or prohibited for a Gentile. So it's a similar case scenario. This can also be referred to reference to Rashi's comment on the word perversion in Leviticus 20:12, that it refers to mixing the seed of the father with the seed of the son within the son's wife. So in that case, it's the mixing of it's the seed that was, not the physical, not the married relation act, but rather the seed within the woman's womb that's considered an issue. According to Rashi in Leviticus chapter 20, verse 12. However, all this is regarding to Torah law for Jews. So we learn it concerning Torah law for Jews, and then we see how the principles would apply to the Torah law for non-Jews. In contrast, a Gentile is only prohibited by the verse, therefore he shall leave his father and his mother and cling to his wife. So we're not learning the non-Jewish law from the verse in Leviticus. We can learn principles from the verse in Leviticus and maybe perhaps apply it to the non-Jewish law. But we have to remember that we are learning the non-Jewish law from the verse in Genesis referring to a man leaving the woman, or man leaving his parents and clinging to a woman. Because artificial insemination is not considered clinging, since clinging in the verse refers to the act of normal sexual intercourse. So the artificial insemination does not involve clinging. It's a medical procedure done in a doctor's office that does not involve marital relations. However, in the response of Sheva Halevi, volume 3, chapter 173, he writes that this injunction is that a child must come from a father and a mother who are permitted to each other, which would be very difficult because in most cases, the woman wishing to become pregnant through artificial insemination, in most cases, is a married woman. Now, today, it may refer to a lesbian who, within her technical marriage situation, would not be considered, it would not be able to have a child, and therefore she tries to have a child. The lesbian couple wants to have a child through artificial insemination. Technically, that woman is not married by Torah law, and therefore that would not be a concern. But in most cases, it's a normal heterosexual marriage that would be permitted by Torah law, would be recognized in Torah law, and therefore that's the question of whether or not that person would be allowed to have a sperm donation from another man, and that would be, in all cases, prohibited to her. And not from the man of another man's wife. Not from one man and another man's wife. He derives this from the verse, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and cling to his wife. If so, this applies to Gentiles as well, not according to this opinion, a married woman who would be forbidden to receive artificial insemination with sperm from another man, although there would be no liability to capital punishment. So in this case, it would not reach the criteria for a capital punishment. It involves normal marital relations between a married woman and a man other than her husband. It would not reach the criteria for that, but it would still, according to the Shevet Halevi, volume 3, chapter 175, according to their argument there, it would be prohibited. But it would not be a capital offense, but it would still be prohibited for her to receive the sperm from a man, not her husband. So there's still some open debate. Majority of rabbis are arguing that it would be permitted, and there are some opinions that say it's prohibited, and that's in today's rabbinic community. It is clear that there is no liability to capital punishment for the male sperm donor or the woman in this procedure. However, a man who donates his semen to a sperm bank is expelling it, but not in the process of intercourse, violates the prohibition of spilling seed. See Chapter 5. The latter Torah authorities only permitted a man to spill his semen on a case-by-case basis on the purpose of needed medical testing. If a married couple is not able to conceive through if there's some need for medical testing, then spilling is, and this is discussed in Chapter 5, which is 3 weeks from now. But if there's a medical need, then it's permitted. If a married couple is not able to conceive through normal intercourse, but artificial insemination is possible. So there's some reason why the normal relationship between a husband and wife is not producing a child, but through artificial insemination, it's possible. And both the husband and wife are technically fertile. So apparently there's some medical issues involved that would create this scenario. The sample can be collected after they engage in normal marital relations. For example, with a husband wearing a condom, which is permitted for Gentiles, see Chapter 5. And that, again, is in 3 weeks from now when that topic is discussed. So it's possible that the semen from the husband could be collected through a condom and then artificially inseminated into his wife. That would be permitted in all cases. Because forbidden relations only applies to an act between two partners joined in what would be considered marital relations, but it's a forbidden partners. See Margaret Egret Moshe Evan Ha'ezer, Volume 1, Chapter 10 and 71. So if the sperm is from if the artificially inseminated sperm is from the husband, it is permitted, and if it's from a person other than her husband, there's a dispute among the rabbis regarding whether or not it's permitted. But even in that case, it would not be a capital offense. Thank you.